Good evening and welcome to the May 3rd, 2017 legislative session of the Town Board, and we'll welcome Town Attorney Richard J. Horowitz. I'll ask everyone to please rise, if you would, for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'll ask our clerk to please call the roll.
Cole.
Here.
LaFountain.
Here.
Metzler. Here. Moore.
Here.
Quinn.
Here.
Thank you. We're going to start off this evening. We have 3 public hearings, and we'll take those in order according to the agenda. I have an agenda on the table as you walk in if anyone did not get one and would like one. And I'll ask our clerk to please read the legal of the first public hearing.
To consider a conditional use permit to allow a valet shuttle parking lot at 1387 Empire Boulevard, located in the LaSalle's Landing Development Zoning District. The legal notice was published in the Penfield Post on April 13th, 2017, posted on the town's website and town clerk bulletin board. 17 postcards were mailed.
Thank you. Mr. Horowitz, is this properly before the board?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you. I'd ask the applicant for this particular application to join us. So I look around the audience. I'm not seeing anyone that resembles the applicant for this matter. And so I'm going to declare this public hearing closed at this time. Move on to public hearing number 2.
To consider a conditional use permit and preliminary and final site plan approval to allow a 2,034 square foot dental office at 1739 Penfield Road, located in the Four Corners zoning district, known as Panorama Oral Surgery. The legal notice was published in the Penfield Post on April 13th, 2017, posted on the town's website and town clerk bulletin board. 6 postcards were mailed.
Thank you. And Mr. Horowitz, this is properly before the board?
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much. Before the applicant gets started and introduces themselves, I'll just let them know that we have received a number of pieces of information for this project. We received the Project Review Committee, PRC, notes that came in, the information from Kosich that was part of the letter of intent, the short environmental assessment form, as well as copies of plans. So the board and staff have copies of that material, and whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Garth Winterkorn from Costage Engineering. With me tonight is Jim Fahey, he's the architect for the project, and Dr. Matthew Smith, the applicant.
Doctor?
The project is located off Linear Park Road off of 441. The address is 1739. It's currently a vacant building, single-story building, kind of representing almost like, looks like a house at this point. It's a half-acre lot. It's zoned FC, which is a Four Corners district. The plan is to demolish the existing home and garage. In the shaded area here is existing asphalt that we're also planning on removing. A majority of that is actually within the state DOT right-of-way right now. So what we're looking to do is move the parking back outside the right-of-way, utilize a portion of that pavement. We'll have to regrade it, so we'll replace it with new asphalt for the new driveway into the project. There's 10 parking spaces with their ADA accessible spots located in front. It's a oral surgery business. I believe Dr. Smith, as of this point, is going to be the only surgeon located in the building. We're showing 10 parking spots, sidewalks, of course, out to the property. All the utilities that we need are there: water, sewer, gas, electric. The storm runoff from the new parking lot and the building, we're going to direct to a rain garden to try to get all we can to soak into the ground before it goes off into the woods. So we think that's an improvement as well. Of course, we're doing some landscaping, red maples, autumn blaze maples, and then a lot of foundation plantings around the front portion of the project. New lighting will be LED. It's more of a decorative light fixture versus what you see in a commercial. It's fairly low. It'll be a 20-foot mounting height. That's really it. It's in the simple. Jim, if you want to say anything about the architecture. A couple things too, thanks, Jim, that aren't shown on the plan that we would like the board to consider. Dr. Smith would like to maintain the property himself, so he would like to put a 12-by-8 shed in here, just to house a lawnmower and some typical landscape equipment. And the great spot for that, where the grades work and it's not affecting anything, it's accessible to the parking lot, would be right at the back corner of the property. A second thing that's not shown as proposed on this plan that we submitted, that's kind of come up since then, is we're looking to remove what we call the Flintstone monument sign out here. It's kind of deteriorated and broken down.
Congratulations.
And replace it, Jim brought in some details of it, with it's basically a large kind of ornamental rock, stone here. We know just the business name stenciled on the front of it. So they'd be kind of angled for the eastbound vehicles coming up the road. And that's more, obviously it's not for passerbys. People don't drive by and see the sign and say, I want to pull in and get a root canal. You know, it's so. It's more people that already have an appointment, and just so when they get in Linear Park, they could see it, and it just identifies and it makes it easier for them on the
So what do you want it to look like? Do you have a picture?
Yes.
What are you asking for a picture of the sign?
Yeah.
Signage?
The 8x11s, give you an idea of height.
Thank you, Jim.
I think Jim could speak briefly to the architecture, and then we'll field any questions the audience or the board may have.
Oh. You saying that? On the back.
Good evening, my name is Jim Fahey from Fahey Design Associates. I think as you all know, and we all know that are very familiar with Penfield, the Four Corners District is really somewhat of an eclectic mix of architectural styles. As you're first coming in, there's a lot of traditional residential style architecture, converted single-family homes, and then as you get closer to the Four Corners, you get into a typical village street of shops. We're located at the very fringe as you're coming into the Four Corners District, so we looked at both a village shop feel and also more of a single-family style architecture for the building. And as you can see, we've landed more in that single-family. I think it really fits in well with the other homes that are now businesses as you come into the district, and traditional in architecture. Its massing and so forth, I think, is right in tune with everything else there. The building that we're proposing, as you can see both here in the handouts that I've given you, is a single-story wood frame structure. There will be a full basement 9 feet deep below the main floor, mainly for utility space, but we will be using a small portion of that for an employee break room. There'll be a lab down there, an IT server room, but principally it will be an unfinished basement area, utility type space. The exterior finishes for the building, we're proposing high quality, very durable finishes, but also low maintenance finishes. What do I mean by that? We're using hardy plank siding, which is a cement fiberboard, for both the clapboard, and then we have accents in the gables of the buildings that will be the hardy shake. We're keeping a uniform color theme throughout. I feel that also is more in tune with more traditional architecture. Instead of you're seeing a lot of mixture of colors today, but I think to stay more in keeping with an older traditional home, I think a uniform color makes more sense. The roof shingles is a GAF Camelot 2, which is premium shingles. It's a lifetime designer shingle, so that will have a warranty as long as Matt is the owner of this building. They will honor their warranty on that shingle. All the soffits will be hardy, again, another cement and fiberboard for soffits. The windows are proposed as an Anderson wood window cladded exterior. All of the trim windows are going to be white. Fascias, rakes, the post trim, anything that you're seeing that's detailed on there that is white will be an AZEK PVC. So you can see we're using very high-quality materials, but at the same time, we want something that is not going to need maintenance every couple or few years to maintain its look. The stone veneer is a lightweight manufactured stone. El Dorado will be the stone that we're using. Again, high quality, they're the top shelf of the manufactured stone. A Dante field ledge is what we're proposing. And the rendering that I have is really very realistic to the color schemes that we're proposing. The siding color is an evening blue and very close in color to what we have here. The roof is a weathered timber style, and as I had mentioned, the Dante field ledge is what we're proposing on the stone. The entry doors will either be a custom solid wood stained, or they'll be a fiberglass stained style door. So the rendering that you see is a fair representation of what this building will look like when it's constructed.
Right.
I know Garth had touched on two items that really were not presented or provided to you in our submittal, but we hope you can provide some ruling on tonight. It's the storage shed that will be located just outside the southwest corner, behind the parking area. It's modest in size, under 100 square feet is what we're proposing. It'll have a low height, and we'll make sure that that building is treated on its exterior with all the same materials that the building will have, so it'll fit right in architecturally. And the entry monument, you can see from the handout, we're proposing something that is very natural in feel, that will fit into the landscaping around the building. It will be low in height, probably between 3 and 4 feet in height. We don't want to have something that as you come in, it blocks the building, but as you'll be able to see it from the roadway and also see it as you're coming in off the main drive.
Jim, what is the square footage? I've got a smaller version of the map, and even with glasses, I just couldn't quite read
Of the building itself?
Of the building itself.
There's 234 square feet, I think, to be exact, on the main floor, and there's about 600 square feet of finished space in the lower level. The footprint at its maximum is 51 feet wide by 42 feet in depth, plus, pardon me?
Show is 2050.
2,050, and I think we're actually 16 square feet smaller than that.
Can you give us an idea as to comparing it to the current structure that's on there? If folks want to see, is it the same size approximately, same footprint?
Current structure, it's kind of small text, but it is listed there as 1,212 square feet.
72 square feet.
Or 1,272 square feet, I'm sorry.
It's a little bit bigger, but I think something to keep in mind is we're not only raising this footprint, but we are also raising a 422 square foot detached garage. So
Right.
Right.
when this thing is redone, it is really going to clean up the property, I believe.
Oh, it looks-
Okay.
So it's a little bit bigger in total coverage, I think, than what's there now, but keeping it together as one structure, cleaning up the monument in the department right-of-way, I think is some really key things that we're doing to improve the property.
No question. Okay. Questions for Jim, from an architectural standpoint?
The only question I have here is, it looks as if the design layout I have, that I think maybe that as well is a little bit different than this picture. Is the front door going to be facing the road or the parking lot?
Well, the rendering was done, our first iteration had the parking in the DOT right-of-way.
Okay.
In second thought, we pulled it to the side, got everything out of the DOT right-of-way. The building itself is, if you don't look at the parking space, it's exactly what the building will look like.
Okay.
Parking is to the side.
Okay.
The front entry, as you can, on the site plan, there will be a walkway from the side, parking in front, and then into the covered porch. So the main entry is exactly how it is shown on the rendering.
Thank you.
And then there's a secondary, more of a service entry, and as the flow goes through Matt's office, people will come in, there's a main waiting room here, and then after they've had their surgery, they come back through and they come out this secondary door, so they're not coming back through the waiting room.
Sure.
The flow through the building and closer to the parking lot.
Jim, just to be clear, maybe I just misunderstood. That visual right there on the rendering, that's what people will see as they're driving on 441?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
If I were to take this and fold that like that, you don't see the parking lot, that's exactly what you'll see from 441.
And then envision in front now a
A
lawn
lawn, exactly.
with the fixed.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Is there room to grow, or is this really made for one doctor and his staff? Is this?
It is, well, we have a, I think Matt might be able to speak to that. I don't want to say how Matt wants to grow his business, but
Sure.
You could.
Please, just your name for the record, please, Doctor?
Dr. Matt Smith.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for your consideration. Yeah, at this point, it's just one doctor. Potentially, in the future, you might get somebody else in, but it wouldn't be both people working at the same time. So it might be one guy's at another office, one guy's at that office. So there's going to be plenty of parking. It's not like a general dental office where you have, 4 or 5 hygienists working and patients for them. It's just me, so there might be a follow-up, a procedure, a few cars like that.
How many
plus my
patients
staff.
do you see a day generally?
I mean, it's probably 15 to 20 right in there. Yeah.
Okay.
It depends on the time of year,
Sure.
there's some slow down times, and then
Gotcha.
summertime you're pretty busy, but, and that's follow-ups and everything, so that's not all procedures.
So you might have an initial evaluation, maybe a surgery date, and then maybe a post-surgery follow-up or something like that?
Exactly.
Yep.
So you might have a
Okay.
couple follow-ups, while you're getting the surgery ready in one room, and then you kind of dismiss those two, and you're working on that patient.
Sure.
Another patient might show up, and it's just kind of rinse, repeat type of thing, so.
And then the total number of employees that you have on site
Three
at your
employees.
busiest time?
3.
So that would be yourself and 3 either assistants or nurses or some admin staff checking patients in.
Correct.
Got it.
With respect to the proposed shed, you mentioned the same materials as the main structure. Would it also be the same color?
Yes.
Okay. Great, Board. At this time, any further questions either for Jim or for Dr. Smith?
I have a question for Kaz. Which Jim are you talking about?
Well, I was talking to our architect, Mr.
None.
Fahey, because I know there are a couple of questions regarding the grain garden. I think, Garth, you're probably the person that would speak to that, and then we'll get Mr. Costello up. So, Garth, if you would.
Again, we're removing quite a bit of asphalt shown here. So between the existing conditions and developed conditions, the amount of impervious area for all purposes stays the same. We had met with Jim prior to, actually putting in the detailed design plans together.
Yes.
And talking very broadly, Jim mentioned it might be a good idea, if we could propose a rain garden so that this parking lot here is just sheet draining here. Again, it's something that could collect that water and try to force it into the ground and treat it for water quality.
Sure. Okay.
that's-
And so you had the opportunity to see the PRC comments?
I had no
Okay.
problem with addressing those, yeah.
Okay, great. So there were a couple of them as it related to the garden, the size and any additional details and things like that. So
We got comments also through county planning because it's on the 239K review, it's on a state road.
239M?
Yeah, we know we have to get a DOT permit to
Right.
remove the pavement, so there was no surprises there either.
Okay,
We're okay with all those.
okay, very good. All right. All right, Board, any additional comments from an engineering standpoint? Okay. So I think, Mr. Costello, you might be next at the podium, if you would.
Jim Costello, Town of Penfield, and I think the staff and PRC have reviewed this for the last few weeks. I think we're comfortable. The comments that we made, that you've just referred to, will be addressed in its final form. We would talk about also installing the shed and the signage on the final plan prior to you signing off and staff signing off. Then the only other issue would be our standard requirement that we would have a property maintenance agreement, which we do with all commercial properties. Other than that, everything else has been addressed to our satisfaction.
Okay, so I think,
Does this need to go before the Historic Preservation Board
No,
at all?
it's not in a district.
Okay.
I think I might show it to them just as a courtesy because it's a little something different in the.
They might have
forefront,
some ideas, too.
But they don't have any jurisdiction over the matter.
okay, great. Sit tight there, Mr. Costello. Any additional comments? Jim, any additional comments that you'd like to see added to the record that have not already been inputted to the record at this point?
Now, we spent a lot of time with the applicants and with their staff, and I think they've addressed all the concerns that we've had to our
Okay.
satisfaction.
Great, great, excellent. And so before I open it up to the audience for any comments from the audience, Garth or Jim, any additional comments on behalf of your client at this point? Okay, so let's open it up to the audience. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on this matter? This is 1739 Penfield Road, right at the corner of Channing Philbrook Park entrance and 441. Ed Lindskog.
Hopefully I won't need the dentist. Just a couple, Ed Lindskog, 40 Willow Pond Way, just a couple of questions. That's a great intersection for traffic. Does the town have any vision in the future of how we can, I know people are going to be making left turns, and I don't know whether the traffic flow is going to be increased anyway by use of this property. Extension of Motch Lane or other ways of getting in and out of Linden. What's the name of the street there, Linden?
Well, it's park entrance to Philbrook Park, and continuation of what was the old Washington Street. So what I can tell you, Ed, is that on a regular basis, we meet with state DOT. We've brought the issue up of a couple of things. Light at that intersection, so it would be opposite Penfield Road, to make that safer. The state has been very hesitant about doing that for a couple of reasons. The main reason is stopping traffic on that incline in the wintertime. So that's probably their biggest concern. We do have Mott's Lane that has been extended and is currently dead-ended right just below Dr. DePiccio's property. And certainly one of the things that we have looked at is how far could we take that down. At this point, there's nothing in the works that would extend that down at this point, although there is property, at least that first house, just west of Dr. DePiccio's property is up for sale. So at some point, there will be discussion about that. But again, nothing currently in the works for that, Ed.
How about sidewalks along that entrance to the park?
So there are sidewalks all the way down to MGM, and I don't know, Jim Costello, help me. I thought there was an existing sidewalk that goes all the way down, comes all the way down from the Four Corners, and I wasn't sure if it stopped at MGM Insurance or if it continues through that property. So these guys are telling me it is through that property.
But that's just on 441.
That's just on 441.
Is there any plan to put a sidewalk on the other road leading into the park?
Well, certainly it's something that we could take a look at. I will tell you that it's not on our priority list to do at this point.
And it's not required by the applicant to provide sidewalk there?
At this point, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Ed. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board on this matter? Again, 1739 Penfield Road. All right, one last opportunity, board. Any additional comments for the applicant, his engineer, his architect? Any additional questions or comments? No. All right. And then, Mr. Costello, one last opportunity. Anything additional that you believe we should add to the record?
The one thing that wasn't brought up was the hours of operation for the business.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hours of operation?
So, Doctor, so if you would please come to the mic. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, so typically it's 9 to 5 weekdays, and then periodically going in for emergencies, and that's usually just, a half-hour visit, something along those lines.
Got it. Typically not Saturdays or Sundays, unless there's an emergency,
I
obviously.
try to avoid it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, great, thank you.
Okay.
And then I would just ask Dr. Smith, the engineer, the architect, any additional comments that you would like to have added to the record that we haven't spoke about already that you'd like the board to consider? All right. Let's talk about next steps. The next opportunity that the board will take this matter up will be next Wednesday. That will be the earliest as part of our work session. Those meetings are held here at 7 p.m. In this room. We're at the back table is where we do that. Welcome to come. It's broadcast on TV, so you're welcome to join in that way. And again, I would just encourage you to take a look at our website sometime afternoon on Friday. The agenda will be struck, and you'll see where you fall as part of that discussion. All right. Seeing no further comments or discussion, I'll declare this public hearing closed, and we'll move on to the next public hearing. I'll ask our clerk to please read the legal for that.
To consider the draft generic environmental impact statement, DGEIS, and impacts relating to the creation of the mixed-use zoning district and mixed-use manual. The legal notice was published in the Penfield Post on April 13th, 2017, posted on the town's website and town clerk bulletin board. No postcards were mailed due to this being a town-wide action.
Great, thank you. Mr. Horowitz, is this properly before the board?
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much. We'll give our staff an opportunity to hang a couple of maps and information. It appears as though Mr. Nersinger from our planning staff got the nod to give us an update overview of this particular public hearing. And with that, Zach, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, town board members. Zach Nersinger, Planning Department. We're here tonight to discuss the draft generic environmental impact statement for the mixed-use project that's been going on for several years. A little history first before we get into the document. As the board knows, but for the public's knowledge, that this project did start many years ago in 2012 after the completion of the town's comprehensive plan. That comprehensive plan obviously is a town-wide, community-driven document that one of the recommendations out of that was for the creation of mixed-use districts for the town of Penfield. Following that, the town board did assemble three committees actually, one large group committee made up of town residents and business owners. All these steering committees did review the proposed mixed-use districts. We ultimately led up to the area shown on the map here on 250, which is comprised of 360 acres approximately, that is proposed to be rezoned for a new mixed-use zoning district. Let's see here. So from the time period of 2013 to 2015, those committees met to work on the creation of a mixed-use manual that has been submitted to the board. It's been available on the town's website. That mixed-use manual document is what allows us to guide us through the development of mixed use and to work with developers about what the town of Penfield envisions for these districts. Following the submission of the manual and associated documents, the town board determined it would be lead agency on this project, and that took place on, I'm going to find my resolution for it, July 20th, 2016, where lead agency status was accepted, as well as an issuance of a positive declaration for environmental impact. Okay. Once the town board took lead agency on that, the next direction was to assemble a scoping document to begin outlining the possible environmental impacts that could come with rezoning of the mixed use for these areas. Again, this existing zoning is RA2, rural agricultural, RR1, and a very small portion of limited business as well. So the scoping document, again, is an outline of potential environmental impacts that could come with rezoning. Once the town board determined that that scoping document was complete, which took place on September 7th, 2016, town board gave the direction to begin the creation of the draft generic environmental impact statement. And that's what we're here tonight to discuss, to have a public hearing on that document. That document was determined to be complete and to set a public hearing for this on April 5th. And the document was then made available on the town's website, made available in the town planning office, town clerk's office, and the town library. Public comment period did begin on that on April 6th and has been open ever since. We have not received any comments to the planning department. I don't believe any has come through the supervisor's office as well.
Correct.
So again, tonight is, the purpose of that is to offer any opportunity for the public to speak on that document. And just for the record and for the public's knowledge, a draft generic environmental impact statement is an expansion upon the scoping document where we've worked with consultants in the seeker process with the MRB group and Fox Planning Services to assemble this draft generic impact statement document. It includes several topics ranging from traffic, utilities, infrastructure, visual impacts, environmental impacts, wetlands, topography, soils, drainage, and also emergency services as well. And those are just a small portion of the things in this document. Again, the document's been available for several weeks now and will continue to be available to the public. But our goal tonight is to gather any comments from the public that could be considered for potential changes for the draft document.
Right. Excellent. Thank you, Zach.
Okay.
So again, as Zach has indicated, this is a process that started now a number of years ago, and it was there was a all resident group that came together, and really it's their recommendations that they put forth based on a number of meetings, reviewing all of the different data points, the information, traffic, and everything like that. And it was their recommendations that this board is looking at as part of this discussion this evening.
That's correct.
Okay. So the intent of tonight is to give anyone in the community an opportunity to speak for or against this, offer up any thoughts, ideas, any other information that they believe is pertinent to this particular application or this hearing this evening. And it really is an opportunity for us to hear those comments. So we do have a number of members of staff present. We do have at least one committee men present, Andres Sillins from our Zoning Board of Appeals, who served on that committee. And I would ask at this time of our clerk, did anyone sign up to speak? And again, we have Mr. Valentine, our town engineer and director of planning, Mr. Costello, planning services director, and then Zach Nersinger, who is part of our planning department and a planner. And there are resources for this evening. And I would ask that anyone sign up to speak for this public hearing.
No one signed up to speak.
Okay, very good. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on this particular matter? And again, let me just highlight, this is for the draft generic environmental impact statement for the creation of the new mixed-use zoning district, rezoning of 360 plus or minus acres that are currently zoned RR1, RA2, and limited business, and to mixed use, and then accepting the mixed use development manual. So again, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on this matter? All right. Board, any questions for staff? Again, we've seen this, many times over the last couple of years via a lot of discussion at work sessions, independent review and things. Any additional comments, questions for staff?
I would just comment that we're at this point, I think, where we don't have public comments, coming in because it's been vetted so much, and certainly this long process. Andra Stones is here as part of the committee. As mentioned earlier, it was resident-driven, and certainly the residents that sat on the committees and the various subcommittees took the best interests of Penfield in mind. So we are very familiar with this document up here. And I think it's a testament to those who sat in the committee, as well as our planning department and staff, who got us to this point now where really there aren't too many questions, and it's really been it's at a point now where the issues have been identified and addressed.
Okay, thank you. Other comments, board? All right. Staff, any additional comments or input that you would like to provide to the board?
Just that the public comment period will remain open until May 26th.
Okay, great point. So we'll just reiterate, it'll remain open until the 26th at 5 p.m., at which point then staff and the board will come together at a work session, probably in early June, and take the next steps for the, for this particular hearing and follow up for that. So with that, I'll declare this public hearing closed. Thank you very much for those that were here on that particular item. Okay, we will move on to the rest of our agenda. We're not going back, Mr. Costello. We unfortunately, the hearing was open, the hearing was closed. We have to be careful that no one left and didn't have the benefit of that, and we'll have to reschedule that public hearing. We'll move on to the rest of the agenda. We'll start with communications and announcements, and I'll look to our town clerk to start us off.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Every Tuesday, the mobile DMV office is available here in the Town Hall auditorium for residents to complete their business closer to home. Tuesday, May 23rd, is Assessment Grievance Day for the town of Penfield. This procedure requires use of the auditorium, therefore the DMV will not be in Penfield on this date. For a complete list of mobile DMV locations throughout the week, visit monroecounty.gov, or you can call the Penfield Town Clerk's office at 340-8629. Also, the town's annual rabies clinic is scheduled for Saturday, June 3rd, from 10 to noon at the Penfield Public Works Garage. There will be more information to come as we get closer to the event. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, everyone. As a reminder, Penfield Recreation is still accepting entries for the town's 2017 Memorial Day Essay Contest. This annual contest is open to all middle school students, grades 6 through 8, who live in Penfield. This year's topic is The America I Believe In. Entries must be delivered by May 12th to the Recreation Department. You can mail your essay to Memorial Day Essay Contest, care of Penfield Recreation, 1985 Baird Road, Penfield, New York, 14526. Complete contest information can be found at penfieldrec.org. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Messler?
I have two announcements this evening. The Town of Penfield Spring Drop-Off will run Friday, May 19th, 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, May 20th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Public Works Complex, 1607 Jackson Road. This service is for Penfield residents only. Proof of residency should be shown at the gate. For a list of materials that will and will not be accepted, you can check out the town's website at penfield.org. Again, that's the spring drop-off, Friday, May 19th, and Saturday, May 20th at the Public Works Complex. Also on Saturday, May 20th, join our Penfield community in helping out your neighbors in the annual Terry Rothfuss Memorial Good Neighbor Day. Good Neighbor Day has volunteers reach out to seniors, veterans, or those who are disabled in helping to do light yard work and spring cleaning for them. This event will begin at the Rothfuss Farm, 1865 Salt Road, for volunteers to receive their assignments. To register for this event, or if you are someone who could use an extra hand this spring, call Sabrina Renner at Penfield Recreation at 340-8651 or email srenner@penfield.org. And that's all I have for this evening.
Great. Thank you. A couple of items. A lot of calls have come in regarding the clock in the Four Corners, and the windstorm did a lot of damage to that. We tried to do some in-house work, and were not successful on the phone with the manufacturer. So we have a technician that'll be coming in to address the electronic computer portion of that and address any broken components. So hopefully over the next couple of weeks, as you're driving through the Four Corners, the clock will be right more than twice in one day. The last item that I have is with the volume of rain that we have received, and they're calling for another 1.5 to 2 inches starting tomorrow. We have a lot of our ground saturated. There is a lot of our catch basins that have been covered up with leaves and sticks and things. So we would ask that if you have a catch basin in or around your property and there are leaves or sticks, if you could just pull those off to keep the flow going into the systems and off your properties and minimize some of the flooding. That would be great to help us out and can help out some of your neighbors. So thank you in advance for the support on that. Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. On Monday, May 29th, the town will hold its annual Memorial Day ceremony at the Penfield Amphitheater. Beginning at 10:30 a.m., this ceremony of remembrance will include the presentation of roses, in which individuals may receive a rose in honor or in memory of an individual who was killed, has served, or is currently serving in our nation's armed forces. If you wish to reserve a rose, please call Sabrina at Penfield Recreation at 340-8651, and for additional details regarding this annual event, please visit penfieldrec.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Cole?
I have two announcements. The Penfield Amphitheater Music Series will kick off on Friday, June 2nd at 4:30 with the annual Music and Food Truck Rodeo. This event will feature several local food trucks along with musical performances by the Penfield School District music groups. The amphitheater and the Kiwanis stage is located in Veterans Memorial Park behind the town hall. Please bring your own lawn chair or a blanket to sit on. There will be many events held at the amphitheater throughout the summer, and for more information, go to penfieldrec.org. And my other announcement is that my monthly community chat will take place in May on Tuesday, May 16th, 5:30 to 7 in the new book area at the library, if you'd like to stop by.
Thank you. Mr. Hurwitz?
Mr. Supervisor, I have no announcements this evening.
All right, thank you very much. Move on to public participation. There are two opportunities to address the board on any matter. You can do that if you're here in the audience. You can dial in at 340-8771, or you can log on at penfield.org. And I'll ask our clerk, has anyone signed up to speak this evening?
They have not.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board? Mr. Lindskog, please come forward. And again, the second opportunity will be at the end of the agenda. So, welcome, Ed.
Thank you. Ed Lindskog, 40 Willow Pond Way. Due to high water on Arundecoit Creek, our annual May excursion down the creek with boats is going to be rescheduled to sometime in July. Hopefully things will dry out by then. That decision was made last night at the Trails Committee meeting, and it will be published. Lynn Ann is going to take care of the publicity on that.
Right.
The other is there any update on the street lighting that we talked about 2 or 3 weeks ago at a board meeting?
Yep. What I can tell you, Ed, is that we did give the 2 intersections to Jim Kreckman. Jim Kreckman is actually preparing for a upcoming work session here. I'm hoping possibly as early as the 10th, but probably the second meeting in May. He's going to address a number of intersections and prioritize those that he believes that how they should be installed or updated, and do that whether it's a 1 season or 2 budget seasons. So we should see that, and so I'd just encourage you to keep an eye on the agenda for that. And then the second piece, I'd asked him to touch down with you about the specific lights on 441 and to make sure that what he was looking at and working with the state on and what you were looking at were one and the same. So hopefully, the two of you have had an opportunity to connect.
Not yet, no.
Okay, and I'll make sure that I get on him, because I dropped him a note that next day after our last meeting 2 weeks ago.
Is he
and
available after sundown?
He is available after sundown. He is.
Probably the best time to do it.
Absolutely. So he would be more than happy, sundown or sunup, depending upon how early you guys want to get started.
I don't get up that early.
All right, Ed.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience to address the board on any matter? All right, we'll move on to additions and deletions to the agenda. Board, any additions or deletions? Seeing none. We have the minutes of April 5th, 2017 before us, and would entertain a motion of approval for those minutes.
I move that the minutes of April 5th be approved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler. Aye. Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Petitions. Has the board, town clerk, or town attorney received any petitions since their last meeting? Okay, seeing none. Move on to resolution by function. We'll start with law and finance, please.
2017 budget amendment, recognition of donation to DEER program.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas in January, March, and April, the Recreation Department received donations to the daytime education at recreation known as the DEER program totaling $450. Whereas the town board desires to have an up-to-date budget in relation to current income and expenditures. Be it resolved that the following 2017 budget amendment be approved. Under General Fund Revenue, description DEER program, $450. And then under General Fund Appropriations, descriptions, daytime education at recreation, $450. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion, board? See no discussion. I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler. Aye. Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Adoption of local law number 2 of 2017 to provide for no real property tax exemption pursuant to New York Real Property Law, Section 487, for solar, wind energy, and farm waste energy systems.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas a public hearing was held on the 5th of April, 2017 by the Town Board of the Town of Penfield, notice of which was given as required by municipal home rule law, the open meetings law, and the town law of the state of New York. Whereas at said public hearing, the town board considered the enactment of a proposed local law number 2 of 2017 entitled "A Local Law to Provide for No Real Property Tax Exemption Pursuant to New York Real Property Tax Law, Section 487, for solar, wind, farm waste energy systems." Whereas all interested persons were given the opportunity to be heard with respect to the enactment of the local law. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler. Aye. Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Setting a public hearing to consider the issuance of a conditional use permit to allow a skincare salon at 1771 Penfield Road.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas an application has been received by the Penfield Town Board for the issuance of a conditional use permit pursuant to 250-5.10.D17 of the code to allow a skincare salon at 1771 Penfield Road in the Four Corners zoning district. Be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Penfield shall hold a public hearing at the Penfield Town Hall on June 7th, 2017, at 7 p.m. to hear the application and to hear all persons interested in the question of the issuance of this conditional use permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler. Aye. Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Authorization for town supervisor to sign a professional service contract with MRB Group for town DPW facility feasibility study.
Moved.
Second.
Be it resolved that the supervisor is authorized to sign a contract not to exceed $9,500 for services with the MRB Group, 145 Culver Road, Rochester, New York, to provide town Department of Public Works facility programming and site feasibility study. Contract to be reviewed and approved by the town attorney.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Authorization for easement amendment.
Moved.
Second.
Be it resolved that the town supervisor be and is hereby authorized to execute any and all documents and to take all actions as may be reasonably necessary or required to amend the conservation easement theretofore entered into by the town of Penfield and Dana D. Wilmus, dated March 12th, 2002. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Authorization for supervisor to sign a license and hold harmless agreement to allow a wayfinding sign within a sanitary sewer easement at 2000 Empire Boulevard.
Moved.
Second.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Penfield hereby authorizes a supervisor to sign a license and hold harmless agreement with Lauraland Incorporated, owner of the property at 2000 Empire Boulevard, to permit a wayfinding sign to encroach into a sanitary sewer easement to the town of Penfield. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Approval of out-of-district user status for the property located at 1381 Sweets Corners Road.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas Christian Kraft, owner of the property located at 1381 Sweets Corner Road in the town of Penfield, has requested an out-of-district user status for sanitary sewer service. Whereas this parcel is not presently within the sanitary sewer district or extension thereof. Now therefore be resolved that an agreement as provided in the town board's resolution 83 of 1982 be executed between said property owners and the town board of the town of Penfield, providing for an out-of-district user status for the property located at 1381 Sweets Corner Road. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion, board? Seeing no discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Authorization for the release of a portion of the utility sewer easement at 4 Crown Point Drive.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas Plank Road Development LLC, the owner of the property at 4 Crown Point Drive, has requested that the town of Penfield release a portion of the 30-foot wide utility easement on said properties. Whereas a portion of the existing 30-foot wide utility easement is no longer useful to the town. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Penfield hereby authorizes a supervisor to sign a release of easement with the owners of the property located at 4 Crown Point Drive to permit the release of a portion of an existing utility easement shown on the map entitled Easement Map for Lot R-101. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Authorization for supervisor to sign recreation contracts.
So moved.
Second.
This authorizes the town supervisor to sign 6 recreation contracts, and they're all regarding different programs this summer in the summer recreation brochure.
Thank you. Discussion, further discussion? Seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call vote.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Is there any old business to come before the board this evening? Seeing none, is there any new business to come before the board this evening? Again, seeing none. This is a second opportunity for public participation. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on any matter? Seeing none, the next legislative session of this board will be held on May 17th at 7 p.m. in this room. The next work session will be held next Wednesday, the 10th at 7 p.m. Seeing that there's no further business to come before the board this evening, this meeting of May 3rd, 2017 stands adjourned. Thank you for everyone that participated. Thank you again to Penfield TV.